What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here for 107.7 The Bone, and I'm excited that WWE is coming back to the Bay Area. Monday Night Raw will be at the SAP Center in San Jose on Monday, January 13th, and tickets are on sale now over at Ticketmaster.com. And joining me to talk all about it is WWE Superstar Sami Zayn. How's it going, Sami?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Dude, I am so excited to talk to you. I feel like this is like over a year and a half in the making. So I was in LA last year for WrestleMania. I was doing the whole media junket, press junket. You were doing the rounds and stuff, and you were like so close to coming to me, but your time was up and you walked away. And I was like, oh, there's so much I wanted to talk about with you, like music and whatnot. So I'm super excited for you making the time. So thank you again for being here.
Yeah, no problem. I always hate hearing stories like that. I'll hear fans just like that waited in line for me for meet and greets, and
okay,
like, you left right before it was my turn. I'm always like, it's just the most heartbreaking thing. But I'm glad we get to pick it up this time around.
Totally. So I have some fun questions at the end. But first, let's talk about Monday Night Raw. It will be premiering on Netflix on Monday, January 6th. And that's another reason why here in the Bay Area, people need to get your tickets when it comes to the SAP Center on January 13th. That will be week 2 of the Netflix era for WWE. So, Sami, we'd love to get your thoughts on Raw debuting on Netflix in a couple weeks and what this means for WWE.
Well, it's hard to actually articulate it because it's such a massive move for not only our business, the wrestling business and WWE, but it could potentially even be a litmus test for the entire entertainment industry in some respects, that we'll only know the effects of this maybe 5-10 years down the road when something like this becomes more commonplace, and people will be able to look back and go like, oh, you know what? WWE they saw where things were headed. And I personally think that will be the case because, you just look over the years of the way a lot of fans have shifted from cable television to Netflix and streaming services. So I think this is gigantic. And WWE has a propensity to go all out for things that require us to go all out. So when we're debuting to a new audience, they're going to pull out all the stops. You already saw that on January 6th, they've announced CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns versus Solo for the Ula Fala, for who's the real tribal chief. Both of those matches could have been on WrestleMania, but they're on Raw for the Netflix premiere. So it tells you what a big deal this is. But the thing about, again, being with WWE is, unfortunately, you rest on your laurels, which means next week we got to come back and do it again in San Jose, and it's got to be just as big and just as good, and we got to keep that momentum going forward.
Yeah.
Can that be challenging? Yes. But remarkably and mysteriously, we somehow pull it off all the time.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, like there's so many times things should go wrong and we should just not be able to do this thing, and we somehow do. We come through. So it's an exciting time. It's a little unsettling because you just don't know where things will be, in a month, 3 months. But, change is the only constant around here. So, just buckle up and go for the ride.
I cannot wait for it. I mean, I love WWE. Cannot wait to see what you guys have in store on Netflix. However, though, let's talk about last Saturday real quick. We saw you face against Drew McIntyre on the return episode of WWE's Saturday Night's Main Event. It was on NBC and Peacock. I love the entire presentation, the throwback, using the original theme song, Obsession by Animotion, the narrow walkway, just everything, the red, white, and blue ropes, even Cody with the Wing Eagle title. So I would just love for you, what was it meant for you to be back on this return episode of Saturday Night's Main Event?
It was super cool just because being a kid like that, I remember that vividly. So it's always a little bit of a trip just being a grown up and doing the thing that you liked and watched as a kid. That's enough of a trip on its own. But then it's kind of heightened when you go like retro and nostalgia and the set is set up and the details, these little details like you're talking about, which go such a long way, the narrow entrance, the theme song, the presentation mimics exactly what you remembered growing up on. It really kind of puts it in perspective of like, wow, this is so full circle for me,
Yeah.
So it amplified that for me.
Totally. It was incredible. And however, in the main event, we saw Cody defend the title against Kevin Owens In the buildup, though, Michael Cole had the interview with Kevin in his car, and he did reference you. He said, while I'm focusing on Cody, I'm mad that he helped Roman Reigns at Bad Blood. Sami Zayn, I will address that at another time. So just would you like to comment on Kevin Owens? We saw you reunite with the Bloodline. Kevin Owens says he will address that at a later time. So, yeah, comment on Kevin Owens calling you out.
I don't really know what to say there. Because nothing, it's one of the rare times where Kevin and I kind of went our separate ways and nothing really terrible happened. I just stayed on Raw and he went to SmackDown and we were tag team champions. We lost the titles. We went separate ways. Nothing really, nobody turned on the other. No hurt feelings as far as I know. And then, I have no reason to, I don't really know. I don't know what he's thinking. I don't really have time to stop and think about what he's thinking. I see some of his actions. Do I agree with all of them? No. I understand most of them. I don't necessarily agree with all of it. But there's also, here's the thing. I think the way it affects Kevin to see, let's say, Cody teaming with Roman, I don't know if it affects him the same way when he sees me teaming with Roman. I don't know that. Maybe it's worse. Maybe it's better. But those are two very different relationships. My relationship with Kevin, as is pretty well documented now, we go back 20 years. We started in the game together. It's always going to be a little different. It hit a little different when it's someone you grew up with like that. So I don't know. I don't really care to speculate right now because I've just got too much on my plate between Bloodline business and Drew McIntyre and Seth and CM Punk, all this going on Raw. It's like just trying to keep your head in the game, So much like Kevin, I suppose when we cross paths, we'll have to deal with it when we get there. But, I don't really know that I did anything to him.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see how that plays out down the road. However, big story over the last couple of months was seeing you reunite with the OG Bloodline. So what did it mean for you to reunite with Roman Reigns, Jimmy and Jey Uso, and ultimately, team up for War Games? But what did it mean for you guys to come back together as a team?
You know what? It was pretty great because there really is just something magic about appearing on screen with those guys. There's just a weird chemistry. And maybe it's the interaction of all our personalities and how we approach things. But I remember the first week we were back on screen with each other because I've been on screen with Jay a fair bit. We've both been on Raw. But then the first week where Jimmy, Jay, and I were on TV, and it was really sort of like a thread throughout the night where I see Jimmy and it's kind of tense, and then Jay, whatever, and he kind of blows up on me. And then you see Jay and Jimmy later, but Jay feels bad and Jimmy says he'll smooth it out. And then later you see Jimmy going out into the parking lot. Oh my goodness, he sees me talking to Solo. And it's just this ride. It's throughout the one night. And man, when we were doing that, I just remember thinking like, we're back, old school Bloodline, compelling television that takes you on a ride and you think it's going one way and it takes a right turn and then it goes left and what's going to happen next? I mean, I think the Bloodline story did that better than maybe any story I could think of offhand. So, to be a part of it is an honor. And then to be able to run it back a little bit now recently with the War Games, I think it's just, it feels great. It just feels great to be able to do it again because usually when things are done, they're just done,
Yeah.
And, to get a second crack at it is it's a treat.
So with that being said, well, first off, congrats. You're now 3-0 in War Games matches. But also, so for you, a lot of fans are saying the Bloodline storyline is the greatest storyline of all time. And here we are now in hindsight. You can reflect and think about it. What do you want the Bloodline storyline's legacy to be? What do you want fans to remember most from the last 4+ years?
I think that's really personal to the fans and what they take out of it. Anytime I do anything, I just hope it has some sort of positive effect on people. I don't really know. I don't really know how to answer that question because I do get fans telling me that, this story or this match or this thing you did really meant a lot to me. And it came at this time in my life or this, you just don't know what you're doing and what the effects it has on people because you're putting it out to such a wide number of people. You don't know how it's impacting people. But then when you get people telling you how it impacted them and the fond memories that they have. I don't know, man. I think if there's meaning to anything, there's got to be some meaning to that you're able to put something out that connects with another person on that level at a very specific point in their life.
Yeah. And
then they'll remember it, and I don't know, I don't even think it's important whether they remember it 5 years, 10 years down the road. I think if it helped someone at that time get through something or just made them feel good, I mean, hey, what more can you ask for,
Yeah, no, and thank you for all the years of entertainment. I definitely give you your flowers for all that. With that being said, it's something random I've always wanted to ask you. My dad's all-time favorite wrestler is Psycho Sid. And so I stumbled upon this. And first off, RIP, rest in peace to Sid Udi, who passed away earlier this year. There is this video I just saw on Reddit. You took a power bomb from Sid, I think 20 years ago. And the description, it said like the first power bomb Sid gave after he broke his leg. So I don't know if you can confirm that, what you remember from that day and working with Sid. And what was it like, one of the few people to take a power bomb from him?
I remember a lot about that day. And I can get into, I could spend an hour just on that day. But I will comment just on the reaction to the powerbomb itself.
Okay.
First of all, Sid coming out was so unexpected.
Yeah.
The fans in Montreal at that time for that promotion, IWS, were rabid. And when he came out, the energy in that place was maybe unlike anything I've felt even to this day. It was just so insane. It was like, I can't believe this guy is here, and holy, this guy's a world champion, a WWF world champion.
Yeah, yeah.
And now he's here, and he's a badass, and he's whatever. And it was, I was playing a different character at the time. This character was even more like rubber bally than I was at that time already. Mm-hmm. So I'll just give you this part. But when he gave me the power bomb, there was so much energy and so much adrenaline and so much everything going on in the building. And the ring had some bounce to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's okay. When he power bombed me, I wanted to give it everything I had. So I attacked the mat. I got as high as I could from him. I got as light as I could from him. The energy was so magical. I was like, this is going to be the craziest power bomb of all time. And when I took that power bomb, I legitimately thought that I took it so well that I bounced back onto my feet. And then again, that character that I was playing was like a rubber ball spazzy type thing, and it was a battle royal. So basically, I thought I bounced back on my feet, and in one fluid motion, eliminated myself from the battle royal. Well, upon watching the footage back,
I know.
It appears like I just take the power bomb, get up, and leave. But I swear to God, at the time, I thought he gave it to me with such impact.
Yeah,
off my back onto my feet.
Yes,
crazy that I would just like fall over the top rope.
Okay.
And you know what? I know it's silly when you watch it back live or like now on tape 20 years later, but I promise you, at the moment, everybody in the building, no one stopped and started laughing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It wasn't, oh, I can't believe he did that. It was just like high energy insanity.
Yeah.
And sure, a lot of stuff doesn't hold up on tape as well 20 years later,
Yeah.
But honestly, that was, it was one night 20 years ago, and I remember it very, very well. And actually, Kevin and I have talked about that many, many times.
Okay. Awesome.
It was a really, really crazy energy, and I'm very grateful. Again, I've had an amazing career, and I've been very lucky to be in the ring for some amazing moments. And actually, that's up there,
okay.
I'm not going to rank it and put it in the top 10.
Yeah.
I stop and go year by year. I'm like, oh man, I remember when I got to do that. Like that's a little treat, And it is pretty cool. 20 years later, you have no idea. Like the internet wasn't what it was.
Yeah.
In 2004 as it was in 2024. You have no idea that people are going to be watching it 20 years later. It's going to be going viral or whatever.
Yeah.
You have no idea when you're in it, in the moment.
Awesome.
It's pretty cool that people are getting to see it now 20 years later.
Awesome. Thank you. Can't wait to show my dad your answer. I know we're running out of time. It's a busy media day for you. I do want to ask one last thing. Music wise, if you couldn't tell already, I'm wearing my Green Day shirt. I'm from the Bay Area. I obviously love the Bay Area punk scene and its history, Gilman, Lookout Records, all that stuff. I've seen you wear Operation Ivy shirt many times before. So I just want to ask, is Operation Ivy your all-time favorite band?
I don't know if I would put them as my all-time favorite band, but I do think they probably made the all-time greatest punk record of all time. They got a lot of competition there. I don't say that too flippantly, but I think that record it holds up. It's unbelievable. The lyrics hold up. The performance is mind-blowing. I mean, you listen to it and think that these were 17-year-old kids doing it. I read the lyric sheet and I'm like, this guy wrote this at 17. I've met Tim a handful of times, and I've met Matt Freeman a couple of times, and I've actually sat down and had lunch with Jesse Michaels a couple of times. So, and he's a great guy. One of the coolest things is we were talking about Operation Ivy, and he said, he's like, I read all those lyrics back and I still agree with them all. And I was like, man, that's the coolest thing in the world. You know what I mean?
So punk rock right there.
It's like, I still agree with those lyrics. Like because we just said a minute ago when we were talking about the thing with Sid, like a lot of stuff you do when you're 17 or 18, which is I think how old I was when I took that Powerbomb. Yeah. 18, like a lot of stuff you just look back at and you're like, ooh, teenager, and I was going through whatever, and like, ooh, I remember that. But some stuff you're able to look back on with pride and be like, you know what? I had a head on my shoulders back then too. Yeah. Because those lyrics are very poignant, and they do resonate if you read them back or listen to those records back now. So I don't know. I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world.
Did you see the reunion with Jesse and Tim down in Southern California with the Interrupters as the backing band? It was like a video on YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Super cool. And I'm sure those guys get asked about Operation Ivy reunions all the time, but I also understand look, it existed in that window at that time, and just appreciate it for what it was. Because if they did it now, it would be great, but it's just not the same. Yeah. They're 50, they're not 17, and it's a different world. And you just have to it's very hard to do that, but you have to just kind of understand the context and the time and the place that these things happened in, and try to appreciate them for that. And that's true whether you're talking about Operation Ivy or the Beatles or any of this stuff, or Jimi Hendrix or anything. It's like it existed at that time. It's a product of that time and place. Yes. And that's what made it so magical.
Yeah. Oh, man. I can't wait. I mean, first off, I'm going to see Matt Freeman this Saturday. He's playing an event that I'm going to be going to. He's performing. And also Lars from Rancid will be there as well. So can't wait to tell.
Actually.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Lars locally here in the Bay Area will go to indie shows, and he'll sit next to me, and we're like geeking out, talking wrestling. Like, I don't even bring up music. We just talk wrestling.
He's a wrestling diehard. There's no question.
Absolutely. Love Lars. So yeah, shout out to both of them. I'll see them both this weekend. So Sami, listen, I know busy day. Thank you so much for the time. So encourage everyone, get your, what's that?
What is the event?
Oh, okay. Phil Demmel used to be in Violence and Machine Head. He's with Kerry King Band right now from Slayer. So he has a covers band with his buddies from high school called the Merkins. And they have a holiday show, Christmas show every year. And Phil has all his rock star buddies show up. And Lars and Matt are some of the guest performance there.
Oh,
so
awesome.
They do a bunch of classic rock covers. So I'll post some on my
wish I was coming to the Bay Area now in January, but that's all good.
It's incredible. So I'll post videos on my Instagram at BabyHuey83. You can see a lot of the videos there. So last year they did Ramones. One year they did Motorhead. It's incredible. It's going to be so much fun. So, Sami, I hope, one day we can continue this conversation in person. Thank you so much for the time. So Raw, SAP Center in San Jose, January 13th. Ticketmaster.com for tickets. Raw coming to Netflix on January 6th. And I do want to shout out WrestleMania 41. We'll be at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, April 19th and 20th. A lot of people from Northern California, the Bay Area, will make that trip down there. So Ticketmaster.com for that as well. Sami, Thank you so much. I could talk all day with you. Music, wrestling, all that good stuff. Thank you again.
Buddy, thanks a lot for having me.
Awesome. Talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.